Ladies and gentlemen, the AFL have sent a memo out to clubs as recent as the last few weeks, which allows Collingwood in particular to use 2 future first round picks within this trade period. It's time to talk all things black and white. Guys, this is absolutely massive news that confirms why we've been asking the question about Bailey Humphrey, Charlie Curnow, and whatnot. Shout out to Peter G in the chat because he came out with the mail that we have access to at least 2026 first round draft pick to use in this trade period. He couldn't explain why, but he could confirm through sources that this was the case. So shout out. What we're going to do is we're going to listen to this snippet from the trade radio that involves Tom Morris explaining what exactly has happened. So let me just do that. Bear with me.
5-year period, it's been mandated that clubs have had to use their first round pick twice in that 5-year period.
Okay.
That's been the rule.
Yep.
Essentially protecting clubs from themselves. Now, a memo went out to clubs in the last few weeks. And again, I explained it poorly last night, so I'll do it better now, where they're scrapping that for the moment. So what they're doing, they're saying, if you didn't use a first round pick in 2023 or 2024, we're going to pretend that you did.
Right, okay.
Yep. Now, that doesn't exist for 2025, but
Right.
23 and 24, we're going to pretend you did. And what that means is that clubs now are more able to trade out 26 and 27 first rounders than what otherwise would be, because it's as if they've had picks in the first round in 23 and 24.
Okay.
So the best example of this is Collingwood, who didn't use a first rounder in 2024, but have essentially been given one. Imagine that you have one in 2024,
Yep.
which means they can now trade draft picks from 26 and 2027, which they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do.
Is that because the
So that is absolutely massive in the context of securing a big fish. That is why the dream is well and truly still alive around the names of Bailey Humphrey and Zach Butters to a lesser extent, which also means we won't have to necessarily trade a highly prized player like the Goey or a Bobby Hill. So the reasoning behind this is to get ahead of the Tasmanian Devils coming into the league, where they'll have an abundance of picks that are protected for them within the draft. So that, referring to as compromised drafts, it's allowing clubs to really go for it with these big fish players that are floating in the market right now, albeit very limited. This is huge. This is huge. It all makes sense as to why Collingwood have been asking the question. What does this mean? It is frustrating that it comes to us as fans halfway through the trade period because we're speculating, and that's the problem. We had an inkling that something didn't quite add up. Why are we asking for these players if we don't have the draft capital? Whereby now we know. We used the first round draft pick on Demeter in 23, and now they're suggesting that we're going to assume that you also used a first round draft pick in 2024, which we certainly didn't. We traded that away for Dan Houston, right? 2024, we used our future first for Lockie Schultz, so there's that as well. But they're excluding 2025 first round draft pick, which we gave away for Dan Houston. So that's completely disregarded. They're essentially saying, have a crack at the players that you wish to target that are considered big fish, like as I mentioned, Zach Butters, Bailey Humphrey. So, gosh, it just unpacks a whole new conversation, really, from where we were yesterday to now. Now, the question is, we've seen Bailey Humphrey posting on Instagram, wanting to go home, playing the Take Me Home Country Road song over the top of his Instagram post, which says his caption is, I'm from Moe. Zach Butters asked the question early, or not early, but late in the season, can a trade be facilitated? Does this give us more of a reason, now that it's been made known to the public, that we can access future picks and that has been confirmed? I thought at the very least we had access to that 2026 first round draft pick to bring in high-end talent like a Matt Rowell, tie that in with a bunch of other picks or players that would have need to have gone with it. But it gives us an opportunity to package 2 first round draft picks along with whatever else needs to be done to secure a certain type of player. So it will be unfortunate if we can't do it now, but we do know next season we should have the luxury to be able to trade future first in advance, an abundance of a bundle of 2 first-round draft picks next year. But where that wasn't possible in 2025, we're now made known to that. So let's hear the rest of this snippet and we'll go from there.
AFL want to see more trading of future picks further down the line, because we haven't seen anyone trade 2 years future picks.
Not yet.
Not yet, but is that what they're trying to encourage?
Yeah, and they're trying to give clubs more levers to pull before Tasmania come in.
Yes.
Understanding that in end of 2027, there's going to be fewer draft picks to go around the other clubs.
Well, it's a race. It's a race to get high-end talent into your club before 2027, because, having been a coach in the AFL through the Gold Coast and GWS era, it was very difficult to get high-end talent in because the picks just weren't there.
So it reads, clubs must have a first-round presence in 2 years of each 5-year period. All clubs will be granted a presence for the 2023 and 2024 national drafts, regardless of their first-round activity. So they're just giving it.
Yep.
However, each club's first-round activity in the 2025 national draft will not be adjusted. So that's it. I think I've explained that.
Okay, so to paint the picture a little bit clearer, right? So we used the first-round draft pick in 23, but we didn't in 24. So the AFL are assuming that Collingwood used a first-round draft pick in both of those years. And even if we didn't use a first-round draft pick in 23, we still would have been granted access to these picks that they're talking about. Now, be careful with the wording. So the new rule is you must use 2 first-round draft picks within a 5-year rolling period to be able to, and then to then consider the other new rule put in place is you can access first-round picks 2 years in advance. So that doesn't mean you have access to 2 first-round draft picks. That means if you've obliged to those rules accordingly, you have access, for example, to 25, 26, and 27. So it's 2 years in advance, including the year that you're in. So 25, 26, 27. So while we have an ability to propose 2 first-round draft picks, some clubs might have the ability to use 3 first-round draft picks. Man, does that throw a spanner in the works in a positive way? It's just unfortunate that the big fish that we've targeted this year in LDU, Matt Rowell, to a lesser extent at the end of last season, Mark Keane, if you want to throw that in, and a bunch of other players that slipped my mind. It's just unfortunate that they've already re-signed. It's not like they've gone to other clubs and they've turned the shoulder on Collingwood. It's like, no, they've just remained loyal to the club and they want to see how it plays out there, which is fair enough. And you can respect that for a player to remain at the club they're at. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What does this mean for you? Have I missed anything important here? And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pies.